Is fast food dying?
Sausage breakfast buddy sandwich. It's eggs and cheese with 2 subs.
Arby's is different.
Their sales are lower than projected, but is this going to be a precursor for us just slowly watching fast food just downfall altogether? I will also say as a disclaimer, I'm from the Midwest, so if I reference prices here, it might not apply to you. So when I first saw all of these news reports saying that it's going to be the absolute end of fast food, it made me wonder, why did we even start eating fast food in the first place? Why is it when you think about American stereotypically, fast food really isn't that far apart? In like 1921, fast food started with White Castle. When they opened in 1921, their whole idea was like, let's make fresh, quick food. And the easiest thing for us to do would be flipping burgers. But with the Great Depression and World War II, it didn't blow up because people in most situations still had like a stay-at-home mom that was accessible to be always cooking food, so the need to go out wasn't really there yet. However, after all of those wars and women started getting introduced more into the workforce, that's when fast food started to kind of pick up. Women were starting to work more, or just overall weren't as readily accessible to be cooking their family meals all the time. So going out to eat became a luxury because there was a lot more disposable income, and it also just gave people a break, especially because there was no longer a homemaker accessible anymore. Now, the big boys that we know today, McDonald's, came out in 1948. They were offering cheeseburgers for like 15 cents. Within the next couple of years, in the 50s, you get to see a bunch of more restaurants starting to pop up. We got our Taco Bell, our Carl's Jr., our Pizza Huts, KFC's, Wendy's, all of those all start popping up super quickly because now they're like, wow, McDonald's is doing super good. We gotta get our hands in the game. But the 1950s is, I would say, the peak pinnacle of fast food. It was super new. It was all the rage. There was just new stuff all around happening. Drive-thrus became a big thing. So people were clamoring. They were looking for entertainment and fun. And so much fun that cars also started becoming the regular now. And people didn't want to even get out of their cars to get food. You were able to do everything without leaving the driver's seat. That's where you even see the stuff like the things where they bring you food and they hook it on your window. Car hops. With Wendy's only being open for 7 years, they already had like 500 locations. That means that when Wendy's opened, they were opening approximately like 6 locations every month. That means they were getting a new location open at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. Now, we start to enter what we know as fast food.
Ronald McDonald. Now, where is that clown? Oh, Ronald. Hey, Ronald. Here I am, kids. Hey, isn't watching TV fun? Especially when you got delicious McDonald's hamburgers.
By the 80s, fast food was huge. But what does that mean? It means that there's a lot of competition. And with tons of competition, people are just trying to get as many mouths in the door as possible. That's where we cue to a lot of hyper-processed food.
Wow. Tastes like it's right off the grill.
You don't think it needs like liquid smokes?
No. I think it's perfect.
The 80s is also where fast food went worldwide. It expanded beyond the US and it started putting its little fingers into all kinds of countries. But then with this rapid expansion and just so many places being open, the quality control started to kind of plummet because they were now looking for that sort of like uniformity. So the food quality is dropping, but it's rising in popularity. The locally sourced food that we once had 30 years ago is no longer happening in the 80s. That's also where we get the frozen food. And with frozen food, it tends to be pretty processed.
Brought you beef stew, Salisbury steak with gravy, and the unforgettable chicken and dumplings comes the outstanding banquet production of the 20th century, giblet gravy and sliced turkey. Color by Paprika, now appearing citywide in a frozen food section near you.
Now that we're in the 90s, it's everywhere. The globalization of the restaurants also kind of caused a lot of other businesses to start to fail. I feel like the 90s is when we start to see a lot of mom and pop shops and small businesses start to disappear, because with these huge companies kind of coming in and overtaking and being able to undercut their profits, it was very difficult for small businesses to stay open. Which also leads into the irony of, isn't it interesting how in the 90s it was so quick and cheap, and then after the mega corporations ended up pushing out all of these small little businesses so they didn't run anymore, and it pretty much monopolized a lot of locations, including small towns, the prices start skyrocketing. Weird. Now that we kind of know how we have fast food with us as it is today, the cravings and addictions that can come from fast food are similar to somebody who's addicted to heroin or cocaine. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say drug names if it's in an educational sense? Basically, these studies say that the same little parts in your brain flare up and light up when they have a hit of fast food, the same way they would have a hit of something else. And it's also just known that a lot of people struggle with junk food addiction. I'm gonna say that junk food is gonna be synonymous here with fast food and processed food, because it's all just engineered to be addictive to us, and it's engineered to, although not be necessarily satiating or good for us, we want more. Another interesting thing with fast food, so they are trying to get us in the door. They want our mouths to eat the food and buy it. You ever notice that even if you buy a bunch of burgers at fast food, it just goes through your system super quick? Well, that's not on accident. It would make sense they would want food that doesn't satiate you. It's just something that feels good now, makes you feel bad later, and you crave it, but it doesn't even keep you full very long. So then you want to come back and buy more. Because if you ate food and it made you full the entire day, you're not exactly going to be a very good reoccurring customer if you only need it once, right? The reason behind that is the amount of sugars in the food. Basically, there's just tons of filler like sugar in ultra-processed food, and the body doesn't know what to do with it. Our bodies naturally just can't handle that much sugar. Then it starts to spike our insulin, but it will make you spend more money and consume more food if you get hungry faster, so that's something. I'm sure we all realize that fast food is just scientifically engineered to make us super addicted to it. I mean, why else would they make it, and why else would there be so many people that struggle with the addiction of it today? But I get why it picked up. I mean, it's fast, it's easy, that's the whole point. It's supposed to be cheap, tastes good, easy to get. You know, that's why we have drive-thru. That's why it's called fast food. I have a little bit of a conspiracy here. So I think, what if fast food chains made people deliberately addicted to the food? And then what if they just had this like long-term plan to be like, what if we make this whole country obsessed and addicted to this food so they can't live without it? And they have almost this like near codependency to us. And we trick them and make them think it's the cheaper alternative, because preparing food and groceries is so expensive, and you can buy your kid a cheeseburger, right? That's kind of a meal, right? And then you buy a couple of them. And then now that you're dependent and you trust us because you think we're cheap. Maybe we're here to help the lower class man who's busy and trying to get food on a budget. And then what if we spike the prices? And then what if we spike the prices again? And now we'll just do it subtly enough that maybe you're crazy. Maybe we weren't really spiking the prices that much, you know? And then you're still gonna come and eat it because you're already addicted to us. So whether the sandwich is $1.60 or if it's $10, you're gonna cough up the dough because you're already chronically addicted to it. Remember when I said that burgers are like $1.69 now? And with inflation, they probably would have been like $1.60 roughly a couple years ago. That doesn't account for shrinkflation. So we have multiple factors here of businesses trying to kind of screw you over. So on top of slowly raising prices subtly, and I'll cover those marketing tactics later, we also have shrinkflation. So we're paying money more slowly, and then we're also getting less food. And so they keep playing with these factors really minutely, hoping that people won't pick up on it.
The first one here is kind of an egregious example. Angel Soft toilet paper used to have 425 sheets on a roll. The new one has 320.
Wow, that's
So
25%.
Right, so it's almost 2 full rolls in the new sizing. But look at the packages. Don't they look almost identical?
And it's not just toilet paper. Ice cream tubs used to be a half gallon, 2 quarts, then 1 3/4 quarts. They've now trimmed down to a svelte 1.5. Because lately, it's been the incredible shrinking everything.
That's why burgers can't even fill an entire bun anymore, when I swear they did when I was a kid. I swear burgers were not as thick as a pickle. So that only improves their profits more. I also found this really great video that was comparing the sizes of Big Macs in like the 70s versus, well, this video is like 13 years old now, so I can't even imagine. Try to compare it. He uses the measurement of matchsticks, an original one from the 70s versus new ones, and he gets a letter from McDonald's saying that we haven't changed anything in 10 years, but you can quite tell when he shows you what like the Leo, his burger supplement basically of what a Big Mac used to look like, estimated, versus what Big Macs looks like now. And it is absolutely insane. And then you probably compare the prices of the two, and what an absolute scam. Like, I can only imagine like what new ways they're gonna use to try to like cut corners in the future. Now we can move on to the wonderful world of what's happening today. It's the death of fast food. It's the death of an era. Their sales are dropping. The inflation of fast food is just not feasible anymore, and people hate it. It's even the death of the dollar menu.
Your choices with McDonald's Dollar Menu. Sandwiches, sides, desserts at a price you can handle. Just $1 each, every day, only at McDonald's. Got a buck? You're in luck.
The death of the dollar menu, I think, is highlighted best with this Twitter post. Quarter pounder meal, I think it's a meal, I hope it's the meal at least, for nearly $20. And some of these other fast food item menu is crazy. I can't even imagine what those prices are gonna look like in California when the minimum wage gets raised and then companies end up just wanting to push it all to the consumers. It's like tipping culture. Why do customers have to make sure they have a livable wage? I almost feel like fast food changes the prices just subtly enough that it can kind of gaslight us into being like, maybe I'm crazy, you know? Like, maybe it wasn't that different back in the day. Maybe I'm the problem.
Big Mac, fillet of fish, large fry. Chicken McNugget.
Happy Meal.
Happy Meal.
And I'll have a hamburger, small fry, and a Diet Coke.
That comes to $10.84, please.
They got like 4 meals for like $10 at McDonald's in the 90s. And it's like, yeah, no wonder I was huge. And that's why I think maybe there are evil masterminds who are just getting really good at trying to convince people. Of course, the dollar menu, I think, officially ended in 2013. After that, they moved to the like $1, $2, $3 menu at McDonald's in 2018. Then after that wasn't enough money for them, they switched to trying to do like BOGO deals. Really the only way I feel like to even get decent price fast food is if you decide to sell your phone memory and get all of their apps, so that way you can get a semi-decent deal. Otherwise, just looking at the menu, half the time it's absolutely atrocious in terms of pricing. At least on the app, maybe you can get something cheaper. I think another thing I find funny about the dollar menus getting turned into value menus is it's like, value for who? You want to know what their $1 option is? It's $1.99 for a McChicken. Does that look like a good value to you? Because I don't know about that to me. Those prices aren't that fire. Every time I've had a McChicken, it's been raw. The whole point for me is it's like, I want something that is going to save me money. So let's use the example of like $1 coffee. An espresso pod costs about the same as a large McDonald's iced coffee. You use the app. I would say that's a pretty decent rate considering Nespresso pods are like super small. It's not terrible in every way, but it's like ordering how we used to order at fast food just isn't. To even get a small black coffee at McDonald's, if you just order it, it's still 30 cents more than a large iced coffee. It was a marketing tactic originally with the idea to try to get people in the door and then maybe start buying their premium items because you get them in with the idea of like a cheap item. It's sort of like those like stupid coupons you get in the mail. And then the super fine print is like minimum purchase of $5. Well, there's a lot of marketing tactics that fast food uses. The first thing they love to do is the decoy effect. Putting it simply, the decoy effect is, let's say we have a small, medium, and a large. They price the small and the medium to just seem super expensive, and then they make the large seem really cheap. with the idea that you should just always buy the large. Like, who's buying the small and medium? Because we're gonna price the large so close to those other two prices. It's like, well, for only $1 more, I get like triple the amount, so why wouldn't I buy it? It's a decoy. They don't expect you to buy the small and medium. They want you to spend the most money on the biggest item because it looks like it's the best deal in comparison. The other thing they do is the novelty effect. Now, I'm definitely a victim of this myself, but there's usually like two kinds of consumers. There are consumers who buy the same thing every time they go to the store.
Good morning. Can I take your order? Can I get a tall chai?
A large black coffee.
A what?
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
No, I mean a large.
He means a venti. Yeah, the biggest one you got. Venti is large.
No, venti is 20.
Then you have the other set of consumers, which is the novelty effect. And these consumers will show up because they just want to buy new things. You have the Shamrock Shake.
Hello, boys. I'm back, and I'm painting everything green to match me Shamrock Shakes.
Shamrock Shakes are back? Yummy.
They release new things all the time because they want that novelty effect. Because the idea is it's limited time. I won't have a lot of time to buy it. I should buy it just to try it because that'll be fun. And they pull those people in. However, they're not really novelties anymore. They released this new thing called the double quarter pounder. The only difference is they added 2 extra meat patties. You can buy just 2 quarter pounders for less than 1 double quarter pounder. And that math equates to, for less money, you get additionally 3 buns and an extra slice of cheese and all those extra sauces. It would make more sense to just buy 2 double quarter pounders and reassemble it to your liking, and you would have saved money and had extra food left over. You just gave it a special name. It's not new, but they market it to look new, and then they try to get people to come in and buy it, hence the novelty effect. The left digit effect, remember when I showed you guys how there's a chicken sandwich for $1.99 on the value 1, 2, 3 menu? They use 99 as like a psych thing. So instead of having something end in a 0, they changed the digit on the leftmost, so it looks lower, right? So $2.99 and $3, I'm gonna say is the same thing. But in a large snapshot view, our brains are gonna perceive it as less because we read from left to right. At least here we do. We read from left to right. So that 1 cent drop can change our perception of how much money we're spending, despite the fact that it doesn't really play a large role in how much it costs. It's just people trying to play with your psyche and try to psychologically manipulate you into spending more money because the brain works that way. Fast food is kind of just one big psyche game. I mean, it's like the Panera thing.
This time a family is suing Panera over its charged lemonade drink. The lawsuit claims that 21-year-old Sarah Katz died after consuming the drink because it has more caffeine than 3 cans of Red Bull.
With Panera, it can cause people to just distrust fast food altogether in the public. People have died from a supercharged lemonade because it wasn't covered well enough that there was an asinine amount of caffeine in it. So there's like 2 people dead now. There's lawsuits at Panera. As much as they want to say like, hey, you should be aware, you should be precautious, whatever, Panera also has that crazy deal with the lemonades part of it, where you can get like unlimited drinks for the month if you pay $10. So imagine if you just had Red Bull on tap. No wonder why people are getting messed up. And then the health safety conditions at places too. It's like you're charging such high prices for food, but you don't even have the restaurants held to a high standard. There's expired food, there's dirty equipment, and a lot of them can't even speak up if they get fired. So let's say you do charge us more money. What are people even getting back in return for the increased prices? Something's not giving. I think our general inflation was like 3.2% overall. And fast food went up by like 5.4%. So nearly double, even like what grocery prices went up. And if all of those are inflating for supply chain issues, then how can fast food be increasing over double what everybody else is? Restaurants have been facing these decreases in prices, at least in the last quarter. Now, Starbucks and McDonald's for sure have reported lower profits and sales overall than projected. I think it's full on dropped. Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell, all of them, their stocks are also dropping from lower than projected sales, or even just a full on drop in sales. And this could be due to a lot of things. It could be due to the boycotts because of Gaza. It might also just be corporate greed is being seen by its consumers, and they've essentially priced out their demographics. demographic. People can't afford to go to fast food anymore. It's cheaper to go to the grocery store than it is to get fast food.
Once upon a time, a few dollars could purchase a quick meal at a fast food restaurant.
I think people should be able to eat good food without spending much money.
But these days, grabbing a burger and fries takes a much bigger bite out of your wallet. The price of food at home rose just 1.3% over the past year, but food away from home jumped more than 5%.
Instead of making things cost more reasonable for the consumers, they're just trying to roll out loyalty programs. I think what we're going to see is maybe not necessarily the death of fast food, but I think the mega giants that we see now are going to come to realize that they can't just charge whatever they want merely because they're a name, and they can't just charge whatever they want if they're going to keep reducing the amount of food and portions that people are buying. Because at the same time, not every restaurant is getting more expensive. There's a handful of fast food restaurants that are able to maintain their prices or get cheaper. It's not like the prices ever return, right? Usually they end up just slowing down and stopping and peaking. You know, like we're never going to get the prices that we had in the 80s. That's just not going to happen. Now there's a new thing happening where minimum wage is increasing in California.
Soon going to be $20 per hour. That'll be starting next April. Now among the highest minimum wages in the country, it is a win for fast food workers. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a new law today raising that minimum wage from its current average of $16.60.
I don't think that's gonna help anything. In California, they're doing a whole fast food workers union, but I think it's just gonna pass the cost on to customers. I mean, it's a great idea. I think that everybody deserves to have a livable wage, but companies are just gonna push it back onto the customers. They're not gonna end up paying for it. What they're gonna do is they're gonna lay off people, which is already happening.
More than 1,000 California delivery drivers are set to get laid off next year. This comes ahead of big changes for the fast food industry, as workers are set to get a $20 minimum wage next year.
Pizza Hut, which has announced it will lay off more than 1,200 delivery drivers at hundreds of franchises across the state before this new law takes effect.
If the companies have to pay people more money, it's going to resort to major layoffs. They'll probably start trying to implement robots more because those don't have to be mandated and like checked over as regularly. You buy it and you're done.
Well, the robots have arrived, at least in Pasadena, California. That's where the world's first ever fully autonomous AI-powered restaurant has opened.
It's like the idea of it's hard to get a technically full-time job at a lot of entry-level jobs because when you're a full-time worker, you get benefits. So if they keep everybody to being slightly under full-time, then they don't have to compensate you for that, which is why they have unions, but it's kind of like a give and take. It's cool to have a union, but if the restaurant just decides to cut half the workers to save themselves money, who's going to stop them?
The price of a burger and fries could be going up, depending on what time of day it is. That's right, fast food giant Wendy's says it will introduce surge pricing in 2025 during its busiest hours.
Corporations are greedy. We know that. I don't think raising the minimum wage will ever help. If companies are allowed to continue to do whatever they want and to cut as many corners as they want and to continue to push costs onto customers, because they're going to want to do that anyway to get it off of themselves. I think what we're beginning to finally see now is the idea that people only listen when you talk with your wallet. McDonald's made a statement saying that they're going to try to better focus on customers that it priced out because they're losing sales. They wouldn't have cared otherwise, but they're like, oh wait, we're actually losing money now. That's not good for us. We want that green. The only way to make things change is to talk with your wallet. So that's not supporting things that you genuinely don't support, not purchasing from places that you don't like. If you want things to be healthier, if you want prices to be more reasonable, if you want practices to be better, then you can't keep giving them your money because it's not going to encourage any change. The only way to encourage change is if you hit companies where it hurts. If we keep doing what we're doing, it matters. They are hearing people because people are coming together and trying to work to make companies listen. I think we all should do that. Let me know what you guys think, or if you have any new perspectives, or even just if you wanted to share some crazy price things in your area. I would love to see it, and I hate to hear it. But I will see you guys next time. I don't know what next time will be, but goodbye. See you. Goodbye. Bye. See you.